I'm Sean.
And I'm MJ, and today's big idea is that God helps us find peace.
Isn't that what older people are looking for? I mean, do we as young people really want peace? Are we more interested in the excitement life can offer?
I think excitement is good, especially when there's so many things at our fingertips. We have access to the internet, we have video games, we have social media. But for me, I just find it important to take a step back from all that and find peace. One way I do that is I go for a hike in creation. I can smell all the smells and I can hear all the things that I otherwise wouldn't. And that is one way that I find peace.
You know what? I think I agree with you. We've been tracking with Joshua as he led the Israelites to the Promised Land. And today we're going to look at the end of his journey and what that means for us today.
Let's check out this God story.
Okay, what's that word again?
Deuteronomy.
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 Deuteronomy. Hi friends, my name's Paige. So one time I was in Toronto and it was super busy. There was lots of noises and people and all I wanted to do was have some peace and quiet. So finally I took the train home, got to my bedroom, and the quiet was wonderful. All around us every day there are people who fight with their words and with their actions, and sometimes we fight with ourselves on the inside. Each of us need to find peace in their heart and mind and life. And today's big idea is just that. God helps us find peace. Today we're coming to the end of the book of Joshua as we wrap up our series. But just so you don't feel left out, this is where we are in God's story. God told Joshua to get the people ready to cross the Jordan River and be ready to go into the Promised Land. So, one morning, Joshua and all of the Israelites started on their way. They were led by the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant. Joshua sent a message to the man carrying the Ark. When you reach the edge of the Jordan River, go into the water and stand there. When the priests carrying the Ark got to the edge of the Jordan River and their feet touched it, the water that had been flowing down the river stopped. It piled up. The people were then able to walk across the Jordan River toward Jericho. When all of Israel had passed through, the Lord told Joshua to have the priests come out of the river. As soon as they stepped out on dry ground, the water of the Jordan River began to flow again. The kings in the surrounding lands heard how God had stopped the waters, and they were terrified of the Israelites because of it. The Lord told Joshua that he was giving Jericho to him, but in an unlikely sort of way. God told Joshua to have his army march around Jericho once a day for 6 days. The priests were to carry the Ark of the Covenant, and other priests were to have trumpets made of ram's horns. Then, on the 7th day, they were to march around the city 7 times. The priests were to blow their trumpets while they marched, and then the priests would blow a long blast on the trumpets, and the whole army was to shout. When they did this, God told them the wall of the city will fall down, and everyone will go right in. So Joshua told the people what to do. They followed all the instructions, and sure enough, the walls came down. When they went into the city, they made sure to keep the promise to Rahab, and they went in and got her and her family and took them out of the city. God used kind of a strange way to take the city walls down, marching and shouting, but he did this to show that he is God and he is mighty. He is the one true God. After this, Joshua and the Israelites moved into the Promised Land. There were many different areas of land, and each of the tribes of Israel moved into different parts of the land. I'll be honest, there is a lot of fighting and warring in the book of Joshua. It gets to be pretty violent at times. But near the very end of Joshua's life, we learn that the Lord gave the Israelites peace from their enemies. God really does help us find peace. As they have peace, Joshua calls for all of the elders, leaders, judges, and officials of Israel and tells them to remember to obey everything written in the law of Moses, follow all the commands, and remain true to the Lord. Joshua then calls for all people, and he reminds them of all that God has done for them. Then he says, let's read. So have respect for the Lord. Serve him. Be completely faithful to him. Throw away the gods your people worshipped east of the Euphrates River and in Egypt. Serve the Lord. But suppose you don't want to serve him. Then choose for yourselves right now whom you will serve. You can choose the gods your people served east of the Euphrates River, or you can serve the gods of the Amorites. After all, you are living in their land. But as for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. I like that. As for me and my family, we will serve the Lord. Me too. Then Joshua told the people to give themselves completely to the Lord, the God of Israel. And the people said, "We will serve the Lord our God. We will obey him." Then Joshua sent all of the people away, and he died. He lived to be very old. The people of Israel continued to serve the Lord as long as their elders lived, because they had seen for themselves everything the Lord had done. Joshua had been through a lot in his lifetime. He had been with Moses through the wilderness. He saw Israel go through good times and rough times. Joshua had to fight many battles. But he also saw God do amazing works for him in Israel. While Joshua lived, he was often in conflict and without peace. But in the end of his life, God had helped him find peace as he brought Israel to a time and place of peace. And as Joshua's life ended, he would have eternal peace with God. God helps us find peace, and we don't have to die to experience it. We can have the peace of Christ in us as followers of Jesus. When we're in difficult times, times that feel tough, or when we're in conflict, we can believe and know that God will help us find peace. My name's Paige. I had a blast, and I'll talk to you guys soon.
Did you know that the names Joshua and Jesus are actually the same? And they both come from the Hebrew name, Yeshua.
I did know that actually. And it's so cool to see that Joshua and Jesus both mean savior, deliverer, and rescuer. With the difference, of course, that Joshua brought peace through violence and Jesus brought peace through peace.
You're right. And what's interesting about that is that Jesus accomplished more through peace. We have our friend Chris who went on a photography outing, and he's going to share with us a little bit about that. Let's take a look.
Shooting photography in a city, in a busy environment is really interesting because everything is happening really fast. Like life is just happening. All these people, all these cars, and all these sounds. But when I'm there just with my camera, it almost feels like time slows down for me. I come from a small town, so I'm always blown away by how big and vast cities are. So many people, so many things to see and new places to explore. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna go out and explore, meet up with some friends, and take some photos. All right, guys, here with my friend Jake. Me and Jake kind of go way back. We've done loads of traveling together, shooting photos. How are you?
I'm good, man. What's going on?
It's pretty good. We're just about to get on the ferry to get out to the Toronto Islands to see the city from a totally different angle. But Jake, I know I've asked you this lots before. We've talked about film loads, but why are we shooting on old film cameras and not new cameras?
With something like a film camera, you are forced to be present in the moment because it's literally just some technical settings, the camera, you, and your subject. Something I noticed with digital is I'd be constantly checking the camera to see if I got the shot or if I liked how it looked. And what that was doing is by constantly checking that small screen on the back of a digital camera, it was removing me from being present in that moment. There's nothing to hide behind. You literally have to interact with the subject, and I think that's such a beautiful way to experience photography.
Okay, we're here on the island, and it's pretty empty, but it's making for some cool photos. Everywhere is kind of like empty and it's spooky.
It's kind of like a ghost town.
Yeah. So it's cool, like to think we're still in Toronto, but we're in this place where it almost feels like there's no one around.
Well, yeah, there is no one around.
I know.
Am I a vlogger?
Yeah,
I was born to do this. I feel like I'm carrying an Olympic torch. All right.
You're weird.
Yeah, check this out. We're about to go to this spooky zone.
I think it's cool to go out shooting photos because when I'm standing in a busy street and there's all these people moving, you can freeze moments and you can look back on them. And it makes me more aware of my surroundings. It makes me more aware of the day that I'm in.
Going out and taking photos, it brings me this sense of peace. It's kind of just me on my own, and in that time, I'm able to connect with God. I'm able to pray, think about things, and really feel His presence.
And I'm able to just use my camera to freeze these moments. And it makes me just feel more present in that moment.
When this story started, I was struggling to see how Chris would find peace. But as it unfolded, I can totally see how when he looks at life through the lens of his camera, he finds peace.
Yeah, what a neat way to connect with God. We all have different talents and gifts and experiences in life, and when we discover that and share that with God, it helps us to experience His peace and fully enjoy life with God.
So true. Let's break off into our small groups to discuss what this looks like in our own story.